Hello, and welcome back to the Making Fire podcast, the podcast where two longtime besties talk about their favorite TV show, Survivor. This week, we are covering the premiere episode of Survivor Season 48, and I'm so excited. What a crazy episode.
We're back to our roots.
We are back to our roots, and it feels good. But before we get into that, Riley, how are you?
I'm doing amazing, everybody. I got so much sleep last night. I'm feeling restful and excited to record the pod today. I wanted to talk about the book that I finished this week. I don't know if I talked about this last month. I never remember what Maddie and I talk about in our like hour before we record, and then like what we talk about when we're recording. I realized if you watched our podcast last week when I made that the joke about the plane. You can see the clip on our TikTok or our Instagram. I don't remember if I told this story on my flight to New York on the pod. And that was something on reflection as I edited the clip. I was like, maybe the listeners don't have any context for this at all. And
I think that was just a conversation between you and I.
Right.
But
which makes it even better, I feel like.
Yeah.
Right. Maddie set a goal for herself to read a book a month this year. And I thought, oh my God, that's such a obtainable goal, I feel like. I want to try to do that too. And so far, so good. 2 for 2. This month I read Crying in H Mart. Girl, that fucked me up. I know I'm about 2, 3, 4 years late on that one, but it was so good. It's about it's a memoir about a daughter who takes care of her terminally ill mother. And she, her mother is Korean, and the daughter is half Korean, half white, and so it's kind of about her, relationship with her culture and her mother, like mother and daughter relationship. I was like, this book is so special. Sometimes I wish I was a girl. But it was really good. It was really, it was a really good book. Her writing was really good. I love a memoir. I don't know if that's a controversial opinion or not. I sort of love a biography. I feel like I feel like those are most easily readable for me because I'm like, I feel like I'm having a conversation with this person. I read a lot of memoirs last year. I read Viola Davis's book. I read Jeanette McCurdy's book. One of my favorite books last year was called Biting the Hand. That was a memoir. So a lot of fun things going on in reading life. Read a book, everybody. It's so fun.
Read a book.
Support your independently owned bookstores. I'm lucky enough to have one of the biggest in America near me, so I feel like it's easy for me. But everybody, find a good bookstore. Support them.
Yeah. To piggyback off that a little.
Yeah, Maddie, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing so good. I got my little haircut, little curtain bangs. Yesterday was my birthday. And I was telling Riley before we started that I highly recommend, if you have time, on your birthday, get a haircut. It's a fun new way to bring in your new year. And then I personally, like, the one thing that I always want to do on my birthday is go out to dinner. Mm-hmm. And then you have a fun, fresh haircut, and, like, your hair is styled so nice for your birthday dinner, and you're just feeling so good, so confident. So, first of all, highly recommend that. This is also, I think, my first time I've gotten my haircut and not either done a big chop or like maintained a bob. And so just getting
what's
a
the name to be so they're calling you Bob.
So that was so fun for me, and I'm just loving my hair at the moment, so don't mind me. But my books, my little reading challenge has been so fun. I did sort of forget about it in the moving process, and then it was February 26th, and I said, I have about half of my book to get through in 3 days. But guess what? I did it in 2 days. I finished it yesterday.
Love that.
And it was so good. Okay, I'm not as much a memoir person. I'm more of like a story person. And the genre of books I read really just depends on like what mood I'm feeling when I buy the book, to be honest. Like sometimes it's murder mystery, sometimes it's just like fun. This month I read Outlawed, I believe is what it was called. And it's a fiction book about basically this girl, and it was like kind of a Wild West book about this girl in the late 1890s, and basically she's like banished from her town and joins like an outlaw gang. And it's just like a really fun, silly book. It's not silly. I guess I wouldn't call it, like, it's a little funny at points. I wouldn't say it was like my favorite book ever, but if you're looking for just like an easy read, I would get it. Also, I'm always a sucker for a good cover, and this one has a very good cover that I'm loving displaying on my bookshelf.
Maddie says one thing I do is judge a book by its cover.
I am going to go ahead and judge a book by its cover. Not always, but like that's my first impression of a book. Is like, oh, I'm picking it up, I'm looking at this cool cover. Because what I like to do when I buy books is like have no sort of thing that I'm looking for. I like the book to just like be called to me. And that's just sort of how I approach it. I'm very excited this weekend. I am going to a local bookstore, and I'm just so excited. I have no idea what I'm going to get, what's going to be my book for March, but I'm loving this little journey.
I have to pick my book. I'm going to start it this weekend because the first is... can you believe tomorrow is March 1st?
No.
Sorry
Literally
not to peek behind the curtain, everybody, but I'm a little gagged about that. I can't believe we're already 2 months into 2025. I have to figure out what book I'm going to read next month.
Me too. Well, we'll have to keep reporting back on what we're reading.
Right. Hopefully
like
we keep that up. Hopefully I keep that up because sometimes, girl, I just be...
Well,
sometimes I be forgetting.
I'll try and remind you.
Thank you so much.
Because I'm rejuvenated now. But...
I don't know if you have this in your notes, but before we get into Survivor, do we want to do like a minute update about the traitors? Did you watch the episode yesterday?
I did watch the episode. You start.
Okay, because I know Maddie hates Danielle. I enjoyed the episode. I liked the cliffhanger. You know what?
You liked the cliffhanger?
Okay, because I'm excited to see what Brittany does. I think we discussed this last week in our Traitors episode. I think there's just I have a different context and nuance going into the season because I know the depths of this relationship between Danielle and Brittany.
Okay.
And so I have a reference point which excites me because I have a built up like story that happened in a different series that has continued into this show, which I think is exciting. I liked the episode. The only thing I didn't like, we had so much talk about the seer just for us to not figure out who it was, and that's what pissed me off about the cliffhanger. I was like, I wish why would you do all this promotion about this advantage? The episode was titled after the advantage, and like we didn't even see who got it. Mm-hmm. But Gabby gagged at that round table. I will, yes. And you know what? I'll give Gabby her 10s, and I'll chop Danielle because Danielle that whole episode was like, Danielle isn't ready, or Gabby isn't ready for what I'm about to bring. Oh, and Gabby was ready. She stood 10 toes down, and she let you know. What did she say? Danielle said, "I don't think you're dumb," and Gabby was like, I don't think I'm dumb either. I never said that I was dumb.
Yeah.
Gaggy
came to play the second she walked in that little outfit.
That little outfit, she was
I was like,
ready.
She's on. Yes. To speak my truth, I didn't really like the episode. So we're going to start off by banishing murdering Tom Sandoval.
It should have been Ivar. Okay, but then if we didn't have, I'm sorry, but like, if we didn't have Ivar in the game.
No, I'm saying like from a likability of the character's standpoint.
Right.
Like, and like the entertainment value.
Right.
Like, sort of eliminating Tom from that really just like brings things down for me. I didn't like the challenge. I was hoping that it would be like a memory throughout the season thing.
And not like a repeat.
Gambling. Oof. Like... Not
Where's
fun.
Tiffany?
Where's Tiffany? And I just didn't like it. I didn't think it was fun to watch, and
I agree with that.
So that wasn't exciting to me, and getting the seer advantage from that, I was like, okay, well, this is a boring challenge, and then like you're doing this advantage that we don't even get to see in this episode, and then I just don't vibe with Danielle, and that's okay for me personally. I don't like how she was talking during the round table. Like, it felt like she was trying to mimic Gabby. I keep wanting to call her Gaggy. Gabby's like slower voice and like her tone, And it felt like she was like, what's the word? It was a vocab word at one point in English class. Being patronizing. That's what I'm looking for. It felt like she was trying to be like patronizing to Gabby a little. And I just was like, okay. But then I did think it was interesting, like good and bad, how Danielle and Brittany were able to read Dolores and vote for Ivar.
That was
also
kind of
stop calling him Iva. Oh my god, every time those two say it, I'm like, that is not his name. You do not, the correct pronunciation isn't with the accent. Like, that's just not how that works. But at first I was like, I mean, I still think this way. I'm like, okay, well, it's dumb. You, like, lead this charge against Gabby, and then you're like, actually, just kidding. We're going to vote Ivar. I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense. But then it's like, oh, well, then, like, you are voting smart in terms of keeping yourself in.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, I think it looks bad for you, but I also get it.
Yeah. Yeah. You were going to say something. I was going to disagree with you and say you were bad and have bad opinions, but I can't exactly remember.
Get Dolores out of there.
No, that's right.
Why? She's the reason that they voted Ivar.
I was going to say, I was like, at least they got Tom out before the finale. Like, it wasn't like 4 episodes ago they got Tom out, and we've just been like, what would Tom Sandoval do? Like, at least it was like kind of the last opportunity you'd be able to get him out, and so like we're not going too long without him on TV. But they're recording the reunion this week, I think.
I know. I have one more comment on this whole thing. I really don't like. Okay. So many thoughts. Seeing people talk about online how they think that like they don't want to go into a finale not having any traitors, so that's why they recruited. But I really did not like going into the penultimate episode with 2 traitors, one having been just recruited. Like, she is so under the radar at this point. Like, it's not even, like, fair, in my opinion. And for it to be able to come to a tie, which them flipping a coin, also don't like that. Whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't like that. I feel like Brittany has so much power at this point because I feel like she has been a pretty good faithful this whole time. And then for her to just, like, get to be a traitor in the end is like, well, like, what are they supposed to go off of? Like, let's say Danielle gets out this episode, and then Brittany's been a traitor for, what, a day? Like, how are you... It's just, like, setting her up to win, in my opinion.
Well, spoiler alert for the UK season 3. It's really interesting, the similarities that have happened over these 2 seasons, that... this basically is what happened in UK 3. There was a traitor that recruited in the last couple episodes, and the OG trader recruited one of the faithful, and then she was like a really under the radar faithful, but then she didn't end up winning. The last trader ended up getting the brunt of the seer advantage on the UK season. And so one of the faithful picked her, and then she had to reveal she was a traitor to them, and she was the second to last traitor, because she ended up recruiting somebody too, because then that's like the rule, is that like across traitors there can never be only one traitor, so you have to, once there's only one left, they have to recruit. So it's not like they were like production was.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
Yeah, I get, especially at this far in the season, but I mean that's kind of like the advantage of playing a good faithful game, right? Like, if you play optimally the good faithful game is you get yourself close to a traitor, and then that traitor drags you along, and then potentially, because arguably it's easier to win you would think as a traitor at that, like, Brittany's in the best position out of anybody right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue that's because she was playing such a good faithful game, was that she set herself up that way.
But I also don't even agree with that.
You don't think she's been a good faithful at all this season?
I think she has.
What you're saying is that she's a bad faithful and that she should...
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I think it's more complicated than that when you have these people coming in with outside relationships and things like that.
Right.
And Danielle basically this whole time has felt like once her and Brittany started working together a little, like she has this beyond the game loyalty, like relationship that she wants with Brittany. And so I'm like, how much of it was actually Brittany's doing versus her like, being carried?
And I'm not going to argue against that. But I think, and I said this last week, and I think that's where you and we have some similar thoughts that stem from different places and and that end in different things, right? Yeah. I like that, the outside relationships, because it is a storyline that I've been following for like 2 years at this point, right? Like it's a long game that I, as a viewer, as a reality TV viewer, have been playing, because I know the points, right?
Yeah.
You don't know the points, and I can understand how that's frustrating for you, because you're like, I'm not getting anything. There's no benefit for me seeing this storyline. If anything, it's frustrating for me because...
Yeah. It would be different if it was like Danielle had become friends with someone else.
Right.
Like, let's say
if it was like
Gabby,
Dylan. Or
Dylan.
Yeah,
like either of those two, and then recruits them, and then they win, and they're like this duo. I'm like, okay,
right.
well, that's fun. But I just don't see
because you sort of get it all wrapped up here.
And I didn't, it's really just not doing it for me at this point. And
well, I'm excited for the finale.
I'm excited for the finale. I'm just like, this episode was just kind of a bummer for me.
It's weird, the faithfuls that are left, like, I think Dylan and Gaggy have played a great game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But Dolores and Tom, I'm like...
Ivar.
Oh, wait, yeah, I meant Ivar, not Tom. Dolores and Ivar, I'm like...
done anything.
No, I'm like, what?
I also just do not think that I don't think at this final recruitment that Danielle got to do, I don't think they should have been able to murder someone. That just brings those numbers down. Like, a third of them are traitors going into this. Like, that's just not... It's just like, ugh. I just don't like it.
You should write to production and tell them...
you know what? It's a new game. Rules. I feel like they're still working things out.
It's a new game. It's hard not to compare it to other reality shows like Survivor.
So let's get into it, because this is the premiere episode of Survivor Season 48. Thank you for sticking through, traders. Hopefully you were watching that show as well and enjoying all of it. But let's jump in. Do you have any opening thoughts, or do you want me to get into it?
Okay. I was watching with my sibling Rowan last night, friend of the pod. I don't know.
That's how I felt.
I don't know what the vibe was. It just felt weird. Like, I felt like I was watching, not Survivor. It just felt like I was watching, how do I say it? Like, you said, ChatGPT, write out a premiere episode for Survivor for me.
Yeah.
And then give it to a bunch of actors and have them act it out.
Yeah.
That's low-key how I felt.
That's a good way to phrase it. I know I was talking to my parents about it because they watch it the day after it premieres. And
I watched it yesterday as well.
But I was like, I don't really know how to tell you how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I need to like talk about it with Riley, and then you can form your opinions from there. So...
Yeah, those are my I'm enjoying the cast. Of course I'm excited for the season. It just felt, I think, because, and it's hard again in the realm of comparing things, at least the last two premieres have had gaggy moments, right? Like last season we had all of that stuff with Andy. The season before we had stuff with Emily. Wait, 47? Yeah, Emily. So there's gaggy things have been happening the last couple premieres. So it's hard. I feel like there was nothing of crazy substance this episode.
Yeah, I agree.
No standout. Yeah, sorry. I was going to say no standout characters, but did you see, I saw on Twitter today that Say broke a record for the most confessionals in an episode ever.
Whoa.
She beat Tony's record from Cagayan or something.
That's crazy.
I know. Because then I was like, I don't even feel like you got... I mean, like, she definitely got a lot of screen time, but I was like, I didn't feel like I was with you a lot. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. We'll get into all that. Okay. We open on getting some clips of the new castaways when they found out they made it on the show this season, which I thought was so cute. And I really liked setting the scene. And then we see the 3 boats of the 3 tribes pulling up to the beach. And we get to hear from some of them on their jobs and who they are. It was fine. I mean,
on the beach?
Yeah.
This is when it started feeling off for me.
Yeah, I was
I
like,
was like,
okay,
this feels really. I'm like, the vibe I'm getting from these people, the way that they're talking, I'm like, I
I
don't
was like,
know.
I feel like I just actually got all this information in your Entertainment Weekly article.
Right. That we graciously read through.
Right. Well, then on the beach, we hear from Mitch on him wanting to play Survivor after being inspired by a character on Survivor Amazon,
Chrissy.
Chrissy. My Paramount was I'm sort of buffering a little bit in this early
Oh,
part, so I did miss some things,
I love Chrissy. I think she missed
and
her
I
prime.
don't like Paramount Plus.
So true. Chrissy, I feel like had a great opportunity. She could have been on like like the original Survivor All Stars. I think she's missed her opportunity of returning at this point. But that's a fun early Survivor character if you ever go back and watch Amazon.
Love.
Yeah.
Well, let me hear from current Chrissy.
Right. From the south side of Chicago, Illinois.
Right, who has been watching and I guess applied for the first time to be on or after watching season 1. And then we have my winner pick talking about watching Yule play when he was a kid and wanting to play as well. Oh, and that was Kevin, by the way, in case you didn't watch last week's episode. So we have the 3 tribes. They are Siva, who's orange, Vula, who's green, and Logi, who's purple. So, in case you get
Sativa,
confused.
Sativa, Volva, and Luigi.
Luigi. Well, let's get to the marooning challenge. So, they have to go through a muddy net and collect this big chest and get the key to the chest and then get some sandbags on some poles, Just
Been there, done that.
We're going from some like really interesting traders challenges generally to sort of like I don't want to say the same thing over and over, but like just your classic Survivor challenge. I really don't think we can get into the details.
That's what they call one of my favorite things about drag queens. Their pageant system. They call the old girl the classic pageants. Miss Continental Classique. We're doing a couple classique Survivor challenges.
Right. And the winner of this gets some supplies for their camp, and the losers will have a chance to earn their supplies in another way. Just some interesting parts. So as they're doing like the mud crawling part, Kevin like immediately hurts his shoulder. And I guess something that wasn't shown was that like medical was actually called and they had to pop his shoulder back into place. It, like dislocated.
That's what I thought happened because he was doing a lot of like rotating of his shoulder. I was like assuming that it was probably popped out of place. But we were doing a lot of Kevin shoulder for it to be downplayed what the actual like they were like his shoulder, but I'm like I didn't see any of it. To me it just seemed like he accidentally bumped it or something. Like, y'all are making a big deal out of the shoulder.
Exactly. And I'm like, okay, well, have medical come in, fix it, and then move on. Like,
right.
Why are we just bringing it up for no reason?
Like, this isn't that wouldn't have been the first time somebody got hurt and we had to get medical out, and then they don't get like medically evacuated or anything. Like, it happened last season with Andy.
Exactly. And just like make it feel like there's a reason you're showing us so many times that Kevin hurt his shoulder.
Right. I was a little worried about your winner pick right there.
I was immediately like, don't do this to me. Other things, people are really struggling to carry the heavy chests, and ultimately Logi, the purple tribe, wins the challenge with a pretty good lead on the others. Both losing tribes have to send one person to win supplies. So that's going to go ahead and be Kevin from Vula and Kyle from Siva.
What are the odds? Kyle is going to go ahead and be my winner pick, you guys. There was a couple moments this episode where I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, so that was exciting that already. Like, what are the odds that those two get put in?
It was giving us last season when we thought Keyshawn and Genevieve were gonna work together, just for like an episode or two, and I was like, oh my God, our winner picks are working together. This is so exciting. And then they
one sort of voted out the other.
Right. The other sort of tried to backstab her first, so let's get the story straight.
I was gonna say at least they're not on the same tribe this time because that creates a lot of chaos. Having 2 of a 6-person tribe be both our winner picks it's too much. Okay, after the challenge, we first go to the Logi Beach, and the vibes are high after winning this first challenge, and we have everyone introducing themselves. And we get to hear from Thomas, who I really like Thomas, by the way, talks about working to fit in on this super physical tribe when that isn't necessarily his strength.
Oh my
And
God.
so we have Thomas and Bianca sort of bonding over this because everyone else is like these really buff, strong people.
Get fruity people back on Survivor. I was like, oh my God, he is so gay, and that's so great. Girl, he was throwing that sandbag up in the air in the marooning challenge, limp wristed. I was like, I love limp wrist representation on Survivor, everybody. His elbow, he was running like this. He had his arm out like this. I was like, yes, this is what I want to see. This is what I want to see. I was like, this is the representation we've been needing on Survivor.
Moving on, we go to the Siva beach, the Orange tribe, and they're getting to work on building their camp even without any tools. And we get to hear specifically from the stunt performer. Is his name Joe?
David. Joe is the
David.
firefighter.
I really struggled with names in the beginning. And he says the stunt performer, David, says that he's either going to be a superhero or a supervillain with his strength and personality. And he also thinks water is gross.
I love water.
I also love water, so that's.
How do you think? But that is like a thing. Like people think water is. I'm like, girl, you need that to live.
Right? Like, are we gonna have a dehydration moment?
Like you need, baby.
I feel like okay. In his defense, I think some water is kind of gross. Like some places have gross water, and where I can't really enjoy it unless it's like cold. But I've never. Well, isn't Fiji like famous for their water? Like Fiji water. Isn't that a brand?
Yeah, I don't know if they're not drinking like natural water. I don't know if Fiji water is from Fiji. Is that what the whole?
I thought that's like the point of Fiji water, is that it's like bottled. It's like from Fiji.
I guess.
All right.
I don't drink bottled water.
Well, I don't either, but like, have you not seen Fiji water?
I mean, I have, but I understand that's their brand is like, oh, water from Fiji, but I'm like, is it really from Fiji? Like, how do we?
Anyways, finally, we get to Vula, and we have Cedric, who is talking about being, in layman's terms, a butt doctor, and. They are also
Rowan last night goes, does he give BBLs? And I said, no, baby. He deals with the butthole in the inside. Like the BBLs are the outside. He deals with the inside.
And the Vula tribe is also noticing that they aren't the most physically strong tribe compared to the other two, which is interesting for them. And this is where we get to meet Say, who is getting a little bit frustrated with the other people on her tribe because they're all sort of wanting to get to know each other and just meet your tribe mates. And she's like wanting to lock down her alliance ASAP. And so she is getting fed up with the girls on the beach. So she goes over to the guys and sort of like pinky promises an alliance with them. And is like, okay, good. I'm feeling good now that I have that. That's solid. What are your thoughts on all of that?
Well, first of all, Fiji water is from Fiji.
Right.
Thank
you for fact checking.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, here's the thing. In the context of I'm trying to be nice. I think she's going to be a really fun character this season. I think she's going to be messy. I think she's going to be chaotic. And that I live for.
We need some of that.
Right.
I don't like how I want, someone in there stirring things up.
I am very excited for her role on this season. And I think as a viewer, I'm gonna come to appreciate her on the TV. However, I couldn't stop thinking about how stressed out I would be if I was on the island with her and how fast she was wanting to move.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's stressing me out watching. I think that's what I was like, oh my God, like this is stressing me out. The way that she's just trying to get things going. And I understand this is the new, and lest we not forget, this was like the brand of the new era for like the first 3 seasons. I know we're a couple years in at this point. We're like 4 years in. But let's me not forget, the whole brand of season 41 was, we're moving. It's 26 days. We are moving, moving. So like,
you hit the beach running.
Literally, I'm sure Jeff said that about 8 times in the premiere of season 41. Like, that is the branding, is like, you want to move. So like, I get where she's coming from. Yes, I do.
But what happened to, hello, how are you? My name
is. Like, I'm like, you do have to make some concessions.
Right.
And I get what she's saying. And I know I think I'm going to come to really enjoy her. But I'm like, this was a lot for the first 30 minutes on the beach.
It was kind of hard. Yeah. It was like, I just want to, like, tell you it's going to be okay.
Right.
And that, like, I think you can play hard without making everyone else around you question what are you doing, and, like,
right.
Not wanting. I mean, we'll get into this episode because, like, things do sort of work in her favor for right now. But I just think that isn't really how I would approach a game that is so social. Or, like, that is so part of it, is, like, I don't think people sitting on the beach getting to know each other is them not playing the game.
I think Steph brings that up in a really... I'm sure we'll get to the tribal, because it gets a little heated at tribal later in the episode, not to jump that far ahead, but Steph brings up a really good point, that she's like, there's nobody at this point in Survivor's history that is out here on the beach right now that is not here to play. Yeah. Everybody here is here to play a game, and everybody's game is going to look different. Like, look, there has been 48 different winners of Survivor, and each have played a different game. Like, there's no one game that is the exact same as the other. Everybody's going to be playing differently. People are going to have different strengths, different weaknesses. Just because my game does not reflect your game does not mean I'm not playing.
Exactly.
So... yeah, you said it good though. Like, I would love to just tell her, like, you will be okay. It will be fine. I pinky promise you. Nothing is happening without you. You just take a breather. Yeah. And it will be fine. Exactly. I pinky promise.
Like, there are only 6 of you on this beach.
What was stressing me out is, again, how quick and again, not to jump ahead, but we'll get to the idol stuff. I'm like, you haven't even gone to the first challenge yet. Like, we haven't even gone to the challenge. Like, you guys haven't even slept, woke up, gone to the first challenge. Like, you have so much time left still.
You're not even all on the beach.
Right.
Like,
you were missing a person.
Yeah.
And then Cedric and Cedric and what's his name, Justin?
Yeah.
Were like, she was like, we'll do a 4, and they're like, us and Kyle, and she was. Or us and Kevin. She was like, yeah, I love Kevin. Girl, you haven't even talked to him yet.
Exactly. And how do you know that you don't like the girls?
Obsessed with Kevin.
Okay. Well, let's get to the 2 people competing to win their tribe, their supplies. And that's going to go ahead and be Kevin and Kyle. So they have to play against each other. They have to tie themselves to this rope that they have to follow through the sand that will lead them to a coconut and a machete that they use to get a key. And then they have to get a pot off this big, like, I don't know, branch tree thing. And then with the pot, they have to fill it with water and pour it into this glass jug and fill the glass jug until you get a key to unlock Flint. There's 2 sort of approaches that these people take to this. Kevin goes really slow and methodically, and Kyle is just, like, whipping that rope through the sand. Like, it's crazy. It was very cinematic, honestly, watching this. He's taking the fast and furious approach. And they kind of, like, one will kind of pull ahead, one catches up, the other pulls ahead, the other catches up. And Kyle gets to the pot filling first, but he's sort of, like, haphazardly dumping the water into the jug, and, like, most of it is missing, and he's also just not being very careful with it. And Kevin notices this, and so he starts, like, really taking his time, and he's really catching up, making up some time on this. And then Kyle accidentally drops his pot onto the glass jug and is out of the challenge at this point.
Girl, it happened so quickly. I literally blinked and it was broken, and I went, what just happened? And Rowan was like, he broke the glass. I was like, how did he break? Like, I was so confused. So then I had to rewind. That's my winner pick, y'all. I was like, this is so silly.
It is. And then he goes over and starts helping Kevin fill his jug and finish the challenge. But I mean, Kevin was like almost done anyways.
I know.
But I was like, you know what? Look at that team effort. Look at that building connections and showing that you're willing to help out before you're even on a beach with each other. Because now that's Kevin's first impression of Kyle, is he was nice to him.
Right.
But obviously Kevin does not break his jug, and so he does sort of get the flan win.
With his shoulder, Kevin's bad shoulder.
Right. And I guess he redeemed himself after that poor challenge performance from dislocating his shoulder. So Kevin goes to his beach for the first time and is welcomed with open arms, bringing all the supplies. And we have Mary, who gets the fire started in 0.2 seconds.
I know.
And
4 seconds! It took you 4 seconds to piss me off! Do you know that TikTok?
No.
Okay. Now I just sound like a crazy person.
Now?
Okay.
Moving on. Mary and Kevin start bonding, and she calls him the golden retriever of the tribe.
I remembered, I said something last episode, and it was a quote. I can't remember what, and I don't remember. Oh, fuck, no, I can't remember. I was like, where did I pull that from? And then I was like, was it Dance Moms? Do you remember the quote I was saying? Not on my watch. Was it that?
No.
What
It was something similar to that, though.
I think I was confusing things, because Not on My Watch is not from Dance Moms. It's from another show.
It was, shoot. I don't remember.
We'll go back. We'll look into it. Sorry, y'all.
Well, we then have Say, who pulls Kevin aside and is laying down the rules on this Core 4 alliance. And he's like, okay, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
And Kevin is super pumped to have all these alliances already, with him sort of being with this, like, Say alliance, and then also starting to be tight with Steph and Mary. And he's no longer worried at this point about being the first boot. And when he said that comment, I was like, uh-oh. Is that what this is sort of building up to be, is he's the first boot? So I'm really glad that did not happen. We go to Siva, and Mitch and stunt guy David. Okay, so I could not remember his name for a long time, so I just have all caps stunt guy written, and then David written in lowercase next to it once I figured that out. Stunt guy David noticed all these animal symbols around camp. And the string that's on a tree by the water well that, when you pull off, reveals a letter. And then we see Kyle, who comes to the beach, and he's pretty bummed about not coming back with the supplies and is worried about sort of integrating into the tribe. And he immediately tells everyone that he's a high school English teacher and does not want to let them know that he's an attorney. Which we've seen this film before. And while they're at the beach meeting Kyle, David immediately tells everyone about all the symbols he's noticed in the black string to everyone.
Yeah.
So they sort of realize that under each string is a letter, and they begin going on a hunt to find all these little clues. And it is important to note that they have made no progress on their shelter at this point, but are making sure to prioritize this little scavenger hunt, which I kind of love that for them. I mean, they're like, we don't have any supplies, so
like, what are we supposed to do?
Right, like, we're kind of gonna be sleeping on the ground anyway.
We're gonna go. We're gonna go play in the forest.
Let's go. Yeah, looking around the forest, have a fun time. These first episodes, by the way, is a lot of bouncing back and forth.
It really is.
So, good. Have fun following along. Then we go to Loggy. They are working like machines to get this shelter going. And Eva, you're right about the pronunciation. I hate saying that.
That I'm right?
Yeah.
Or Eva?
Both, frankly. Eva's really pulling the weight, gathering all the bamboo. And
she is jacked. She is built. Good for her.
She is fit. Yeah. If you didn't watch the cast assessment, remember from the episode, she plays on a men's hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Cool for her. She talks about navigating being on Survivor with autism and how it impacts her relationships and social skills, and talks about how in this moment she's really able to focus on collecting the bamboo and that being like the task that she's able to do for the tribe and like be helpful. And we have Fire Lieutenant Joe talking about wanting to make it to the end on loyalty and being a good person. And at this point, we have the start of an Eva and Joe forming an alliance because Eva's drawn to him for being kind, but also strong and hardworking and feels like she can trust him. Now let's bounce. Oh, do you have any comments?
I was just going to say, I literally feel like we've seen the storyline with Mike, similar in 42. Mike's whole thing was, I'm going to be loyal to the end. And then that ends up being his biggest downfall because he ends up not really being loyal and he can't admit that he wasn't very loyal. Yeah. Mike was a fire captain too, or
Yeah, he was a firefighter
too.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We go to the Vula tribe. Stephanie is working on building these genuine connections with the other girls and talking about her Reiki experience. But Say has no interest in hearing about any of this. So
Girl,
really, like,
I don't blame her.
Right. I mean, like, I cannot blame saying this. But she just sort of, like, gets up, makes it clear that she does not care, and goes over to her little boy alliance group and is like, it's time to look for the idol. We love a direct queen.
Right.
And you know what? She is able to boss those boys around.
No, she
like,
is. She
no
got them around
this.
her finger. I kind of live for it.
She said sit, or she said jump. They said how high. And Stephanie and Mary obviously know at this point that she's looking for an idol, and that Say has zero subtlety in any of this.
No.
Which, like, is whatever. But while Say is walking around with pizza shirt man Justin,
I was like, what is going on,
I
y'all?
kind of love this because I forgot he like runs a pizza shop with his family. Anyways, Say finds the Beware advantage, and so good for her. And I'm glad that like at least something came of this for her.
Right.
And the thing that she has to do for this is it's like a scroll tube thing with these numbers, and she has to figure out the code to unlock it. But now at this point, she does not have a vote until she gets the idol. We then jump to Loggy. Do you have anything to say on this?
I'll get more when she starts actually doing the idol hunt.
Okay. Loggy, Star goes looking for the idol in the Purple Beach. And the rest of the tribe noticed that Star has been gone for like an hour. People were like, literally, what else could you be doing but looking for an idol? Like, immediately sus.
I just want to say, Star, I don't know what type of lifestyle you live. I don't know if you participate in any extracurricular activities. Why do I want to turn up with her? I need to get down with Star. I need to queen out with her.
I feel like someone said that she plays basketball. I could be wrong about that.
Yes, I think somebody did say she was a basketball player.
Yeah.
I need to turn up with her.
Yeah.
I know she gets down, and I'm kind of obsessed with Star.
Yeah.
She seems really chill. Like her energy.
Yes.
Her vibe, her like aura. I'm like, I get very like, I just be around you and I would feel relaxed.
Yes. And like,
but not in like a comforting way, but in like
she could lead me around, and I'm
right.
like, I feel comfortable with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I also want to say, like, was it actually an hour? We don't know because they do not have clocks. So like, it could have been like 30 minutes.
That would be me. Ooh, girl, I'm so bad at exaggerating. Oh my god, she's been gone for 3 hours. It's been like 5 minutes. What are you talking about? Literally me at work trying to get through my shift. Oh my god, I've been here all day. Girl, you've been here for 20 minutes.
Well, Thomas Joe and once again, do not remember names. So I sort of wrote Thomas Joe and the other guy. Realized that they're all from California. And so then they form the California Girls Alliance.
Love that.
Yeah.
What's his name? It's not Sean. It's Shaheen.
Oh, Sean. Yes.
Shaheen?
Yes. Shaheen. Yes, it was him. And we also have a really sweet moment between Ava and Joe. And this is where we see a little bit more of their alliance forming. So Eva shares with Joe her at this point closest ally that she has autism, and her story, and wanting to be vulnerable and open with him about this. So she tells him like how he can help her, and how she isn't really able to tell when people are lying to her or just like trying to backstab her. And she's like, I need you to look out for me in this, like, you know, for the good of both of us, but like I'm gonna need you to pick up there. And then she also tells him about sort of when she gets really stressed, like signs to look for, when she was describing like episodes that she might have and how to best comfort her in this. And this, Joe really like takes this info in, and she could not have gone to a better person about this.
No,
I believe.
Seemingly it was the perfect person.
It really was. He immediately is like, girl, he didn't say it like this. Girl, I got you. I'm here for you. Thank you for telling me. He
basically was like, I'll give up my game.
He literally says that. He's like, I would rather go home early than betray her at this point. And so he is loyal to her.
It's a crazy pull within the first 48 hours of this game. Like, that's hey, good for them.
Honestly good to see.
Yeah.
And like, I'm kind of excited to see how this plays out for them.
Can I ask you it's on topic but not Survivor related question?
Yes.
Have you seen Girl Meets World?
No.
Girl Meets World. Have you seen Boy Meets World?
No.
Do you know what those are?
Yes. I know about Topanga. Oh, are you talking about
yes.
The Sabrina Carpenter moment?
Yes. Guys, if you haven't seen Girl Meets World, it is an offshoot of Boy Meets World. It's basically just about kids. But the cast of Girl Meets World they're like the children of the people in Boy Meets World. Anyway, but there's a character on the spectrum in Girl Meets World, but like we don't know that he's on the spectrum until later in the series. And they like sit down because Boy Meets World was kind of big because it was centered around teens, but they like went through like hard topics of life, right? Mm-hmm. And so Girl Meets World tried to do the same thing. And so they're all the little teen characters are sitting down, including one Miss Sabrina Carpenter, and they're sitting down, and the character's name is Farkle.
Right.
And yes. Farkle's like, guys, I have something to tell you. And they're like, what? And he goes, I went to the doctors and I have autism.
And they're like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
Tell them you don't.
Tell them you don't. No, you don't. You're Farkle. Tell them you're just Farkle. And I was like, girl, this isn't like...
Tell them you don't.
Tell them you don't.
What does that even mean? Why would...
I get what they were trying to do. Like, I feel like that... Not. This is not a Girl Meets World podcast, but they're probably trying to make them, because they don't understand what autism is. But I will always remember that. That is an insane scene of television.
Sabrina Carpenter's lore
is wild.
Her digital footprint is crazy. And you know what?
No, you don't. Tell them you don't. It's the way that they stand. No, you don't.
They like come at him.
Tell them you don't.
Like,
with the Disney acting too.
No matter the Disney acting, you know, I'm happy for Sabrina Carpenter and all her success, but like, I will never not think of her as anything other than Disney Channel. Like,
right.
And I think
it's kind of hard.
I was like a little too old for the Girl Meets World. Like, I never watched it, but I always knew Sabrina Carpenter as the Disney Channel girl actor from like, that was like not in shows that I watched anymore. So I was like not interested. And now when I watch her, I'm like, okay, Sabrina Carpenter, Disney Channel girl.
Really?
Anyways.
Right. I'm like, go off Disney Channel queen.
Exactly. Crazy moment. At Siva, they are getting to know each other. They're bonding over their favorite movies. And Kyle and Camilla are really bonding. They have the same favorite movies. They're both at least partway Guyanese.
Right.
Also, I want to say, after... we haven't posted the clip yet, but after your Camilla sort of acting moment from last episode, she is one person I will never forget her name.
Camilla.
I love her.
I love her.
So I will never forget Camilla's name after that. And now I also think of that moment every single time she comes on screen.
Right.
I just think, Camilla! In your voice. It's Camilla. Yeah, then at the water well, Charity, which, guys, if you watch, now I can't think of Charity without thinking of our clip. If any people from our TikTok are watching this episode and sort of missed the point of that TikTok.
If any of the 1,000 people that have been consistently viewing our TikToks want to hop over to the YouTube, that would be stunning.
That would be stunning. I want to call out that one comment, though.
The one comment we got on the TikTok. Not like there's a bunch of them sort of hide obscurity. It's the one comment we got on the TikTok.
I want to call you out specifically because if you can leave comments like that, I can comment at you.
Right.
I think it's time for some media literacy and like learning about context.
Girl, the point of that video was not us assuming she was gay. Okay, that she was the device to get to the bigger joke at hand, everybody. The bigger story. She got us from point A to point B. And I also sort of wrote the joke out. Like, I gave the reference point.
You even put a picture. They didn't have to really read.
And I cited my source. I said, this is Todd from Survivor China.
Anyways, but now I can't see Charity without thinking about that clip. So, at the water well, Charity and Camilla are talking about what they would do if they have to go to tribal. Charity points out that Kyle might have gotten an advantage, and so when he was off, trying to get supplies, and he came back with nothing. So Charity is obviously like, well, if it comes down to it, like it was giving very traitors. We don't actually have any evidence, but it looks like it might be Kyle that might have done something.
Right.
So Charity tells Camilla this, and Camilla's like, oh no, that's gang mitts, fam.
Right. That's Ohana.
That's Ohana right there. We cannot do that. And so she goes...
She sort of went up to Kyle and was like, hey, what fragrance are you wearing?
He said, what are the top notes?
What are the top notes? Hey, what kind of box do you think it comes? Like, what color is the box?
What stores does your mom shop at? Anyways. Camilla goes and tells Kyle about what Charity was saying about him. And then Camilla goes and tells Chrissy and David about this and is major throwing Charity under the bus. And this sort of forms an alliance between these four, all sort of, being like, well, how dare Charity say that?
Right.
About Kyle, who did nothing wrong. Then we go to Vula. And Seg wants the Beware advantage right now. Now. She tells Cedric about this advantage, and he is, first of all, happy to have her confidence, and then happy to help. She also tells Kevin about the Beware advantage and is giving the code to the tube to everyone, which, like, in hindsight, I don't think would have been the best move.
Right.
But, it's fine. And she puts together that the colorful animal symbols relate to the code to unlock the scroll because each number has a color. And she's like, oh, this is all connected. So she goes on this, scavenger hunt and runs around finding all the symbols, and she gets this thing open, and she gets the idol and her vote back.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Girl, she's just like, I don't know, you got your mind on something and you aren't finishing it until it's done. It's kind of me-coded. Like,
I was going to say, it feels like you.
At the end of the day, she is kind of me-coded, I do think, but I do like the negative to all of this is that you did get so many people involved. They easily could have blindsided you tonight. Easily.
And I'm actually a little bit sad that they didn't do that. But we'll talk about that. Let's get to the immunity challenge. It's another classic challenge.
Classic.
They have to race through some obstacles, unlock a big sled that then they have to push and carry up to this puzzle that they have to complete. The rewards are a big toolkit for first place and a smaller one for second place. Losers win a date with Jeff at Tribal Council. Loggy has the lead the whole time pretty much and ends up getting first place. And then it kind of comes down to, who's going to win this. There was some comebacks almost, but in the end, Siva gets second, sending Vula to Tribal Council.
I think this is something Steph talked about in her post-game press today, or yesterday. But I'm like, why are these tribes so unevenly matched?
Yeah, they're not balanced.
This green tribe, I'm like, there's nobody of physical superiority on this tribe.
Like, we can't just count on Kevin.
Right.
And, like, is he
his
even
bad
really...
shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't make it fun to watch when I'm like, okay, you have literally Hulk on one tribe. Mm-hmm. And then you have female hockey player on male team and like firefighter on the, like, I'm like, why are we...
And it would be different if it were sort of like the theme of the season, like another brains versus brawn versus beauty sort of situation.
When Kevin on Marooning was like, I thought this was going to be David versus Goliath again when I saw the people.
Yeah, I agree. Like,
I don't like having just one tribe that is obviously lesser than.
And I'm hoping this doesn't continue. I feel like last season it was nice because I'm pretty sure all three initial tribes ended up going to tribal council before the merge. But in seasons before, it's been like one team is just like sucking compared to the others. I'm really hoping we don't see that again. After the challenge at the Vula camp, Stephanie begins by apologizing for losing at the puzzle. I don't know if I would have done this. Because I also feel like it was sort of Kevin's fault as well.
Right.
And I feel like
definitely would not have taken credit for that.
No. And I also don't think... I mean, like, they were kind of... I don't know. It was really anyone's game at that point. But, like, they were also coming from behind. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think that was just a lot to put on herself. On the beach, we have Cedric, Say, and Kevin talking about how Stephanie's got to go home after that puzzle performance. Yes.
I'm so sorry. I just, real quick, back to the challenge. Watching that orange tribe put together the puzzle, Chrissy, I don't know why, but she was pissing me off so bad when she was doing the puzzle. She kept making, like, faces. I don't know if you saw this, but at some point she was pushing the puzzle piece in and she kept sticking her tongue out. She kept being like, as she was, like, pushing it in. And then she just kept... There was one specific piece on the left side of the puzzle that we were looking at that she kept patting in. And she did it so many times. Which obviously makes sense because, like, the Green Tribe's puzzle ends up basically almost falling apart because it was so unstable. But she just kept doing it. And it was like, back and forth, like, who's going to do it, who's going to do it. And I was like, oh, my God, this is so insufferable. Put the piece in, keep the tongue in your mouth, and get stepping. Let's go. Get the puzzle together. Let's go.
We need you out there to coach them.
Right.
Yeah. The group also, or I guess specifically Say, also wants Stephanie out because Stephanie wasn't listening to Say to the degree that she wanted Stephanie to be while they were sort of talking at camp. And so she's like, I can't trust her. I can't work with her. And like, sure, I guess, like, find your reason to vote someone out. Like, it's fine. But I also just think, like, the boys are just so willing to do whatever you say.
I know.
To the point that, like, it's kind of hard to put that all on Stephanie when, like, I think we have crazy behavior from the men. But that's whatever. Mary, Stephanie, and Justin, I'll talk about wanting Say out, specifically Mary and Stephanie, because they can't trust her, obviously, with how intense she has been around camp and not willing to get to know people, obviously searching for an idol, and just generally feeling like we're not going to be able to work together, and, like, we don't get along, and, like, that's just how it's going to be. Say says she doesn't trust Mary and Stephanie and will use her idol if need be, and Mary and Stephanie pull in Kevin and tell him about the Say plan. So we see that Kevin and Justin are sort of the two that are in between the alliances. And they talk about how it wouldn't be a bad thing for Say to get the idol or to get voted out, because then she has the idol currently. She goes home with an idol. Guess what? It's replanted. Then we have a chance to get it. And like them saying that before tribal, I was like, okay, I guess like that's not what's gonna happen. But that's kind of where I was thinking. I'm like, she's like, maybe you can't see it, golden retriever, like self-described golden retriever energy, but like, let's get her out. You know, she has the idol. Why, like, do you not want it for yourself? Like, she's clearly playing for herself.
Very hard
not
too.
Like, it's like when it comes down to it, that idol's never going to be used in your favor.
Right. Like, it's always going to be her protecting herself.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
But, like, take that into consideration for your own personal game when you have other people that clearly want to work with you and not tell you what to do.
Right.
But that's just my 2 cents. Finally, we get to the first tribal. It's juicy and does have tension. I will say this is the part of the episode where I was like, okay, we're...
I know. I was like, okay, I was like, lock in, lock in, lock in.
Yes. So they start by talking about what it's been like the first few days on the beach, getting used to living outside. They say there are city slickers who, you know, would never normally do this. And we also talk a little bit about astrological signs. There's always someone that likes to do that. I feel like a few seasons ago, that was sort of Kendra's thing.
Right.
And now we have Stephanie. You know, the millennials just gotta astrology.
Got to.
They have to. They also talk about how they all receive information and how they are navigating alliances and who they want to work with. Obviously, there is major tension between Sei and Stephanie. Sei is really criticizing people openly about how they're playing the game and how they aren't working hard enough, how they're not playing the game. They're just chilling, hanging out, watching the stars, and that really bothers her. And she's not here. Like, she's gonna call people out for that.
She said, I'm not here to watch the stars. You can see the stars from your home. Why did you come out all the way to Fiji to see the stars?
Oh, I would not. I would really struggle being with someone like this, but it's fine. Stephanie pushes back on this and is like, I can be playing hard and also hanging out on the beach and talking to people. I want to play a social game. I want to build connections with people. And that doesn't look like running around and like trying to find idols and do all of that. It looks like building connections with people. And that's kind of where we leave off before we get to the vote.
It was definitely really heated. At one point, Sei has to like catch herself. She started saying something, and what did she? Oh, I should have written it down. But there was a moment where, I mean, there was multiple moments, but she is like low key going off, and then she was like, "Oh, hold up, let me not save. Let me reel it back in, just a little bit." But it was good. I love good tension at Tribal. I like, because it just, again, with like the scripted, Tribal just feels so scripted sometimes. Like, it feels like you come in, give a couple metaphors, and like nothing actually happens.
Especially early on. Right.
And so I am glad that we're starting off strong. Like, I appreciate Sei as a character. I think it's gonna work overall for the season. I feel like it's giving a little bit of a Rome arc, but Rome not as delusional as Rome, maybe. Like, I feel like she's gonna have a better game sense than Rome. Like, I feel like her head is gonna be actually on, and like she's gonna know what to look for.
I'm hoping we get like a mix of Rome and Emily. Like, we can have this,
like a little bit of a turnaround.
But like, I hope that we see Sei eventually be able to like slow down and work with people a bit more. And, I mean, it'll also be different depending on how far she makes it. Seeing how she works with other people who I think she's really able to take advantage sounds bad, but, like, take advantage of the situation of them being so fresh on the beach and, like, everyone is sort of looking for alliances. But, like, let's say she makes it to a merge or a tribe swap situation where people are already playing the game and they're like, we're not going to let you boss us around like that, actually. And, like, we can just vote you out.
My prediction is that she is not going to let her foot off the gas at all, and whether to her detriment or to her success, because she does have a group of people around her that are willing to work with, like, they're willing to be, not, I hate to say her minions, because we don't really know the extent of her her misting yet, but people who are willing to work with her keeping her foot on the gas, I could see her just for 20. I mean, it's only 26 days.
She's already 2 days down, basically.
I know. So I could see her just not letting go and just going. I could see in my reality, obviously, there's either a world where it backfires so bad against her, like a Rome, or she's able to just have so much control that it works so well for her, like a Boston Rob in Redemption Island. Like I could see her just like full throttle, won't get off these girls' necks.
Well, at the vote, Stephanie plays her shot in the dark and is not safe. And she does end up going home. And the boys end up voting with Say. And
Mary's a little gagged.
Mary is gagged. I mean, what I was thinking in this, initially I was like, why would you do that? Like, you are basically just guaranteeing that if you're not safe, you're going home. Like, which I guess is, like, the point of the shot in the dark a little bit. But, like, you are taking a vote off the table. I'm wondering if maybe there were conversations that we didn't see where it did feel like the boys were leaning more toward voting with Say.
There probably was,
because
like,
obviously why would you do that?
The producers wanted to set it up in a way where we, as the audience, were left wondering what was going to happen. But especially for a first boot, I mean, other than like the John vote last season, I rarely feel like the first boot is as like mysterious, like what's gonna happen. Like I feel like most people go into a first boot they're having some sort of unison, because like a first vote, I would assume that for the first vote of the season, you're wanting to just find unison as quick as possible, and as soon as as soon as 4 people agree on a name, you're locked in on that. Like, you're like, okay, we got it, we're all 4 of us are safe, golden, right? So I would assume it was much more clear than that. And then I get why she played it, right? Because that if she's privy to those conversations, it doesn't hurt. I mean, like, she was gonna go home either way. Either her and Mary vote for Say and she goes home, or she doesn't vote and she has it goes from a 100% shot she's going home to a 50-50 shot she's going home.
Yeah.
So I get it in that sense, but you're right. I'm sure it was more solid than we as the audience were shown. Because
at first I was like, that feels like a cop out. Like, you're just not voting. Like, let's play the game. Right. I also don't really love the shot in the dark most of the time. So I think I was just like, okay, first tribal, and we're already using this. Like, ugh, get that off my screen.
Right.
But it's fine. Steph goes home. I'm really sad for Mary being at the bottom of her tribe because I really liked her, and I'm hoping that the boys who were a bit like unsure of voting with Say at first will maybe come around. Like, maybe after they get a little bit more time to get to know each other on the beach, it's not just like, if we go to tribal again, Mary's going home. But yeah, that wraps up that episode.
I'd be worried if I was Say, just because Say has this core 4, but I don't think she has anybody within the alliance that she's closest with.
Yeah.
Because even though she put the alliance together, I would say she's probably at the bottom. I feel like Kevin and Justin probably get along better.
She has like no agency within it.
Right. And so that would worry me if I was Say, but then it's like, is Say going to notice that? Is she going to realize that like, even though she put it together, that she doesn't have those interpersonal connections that will keep her afloat if they have to go back to tribal? Because all they need is Mary, and then flip on Say. I don't know. It's interesting, but I'm excited. I'm always excited for a new Survivor season. I think it's going to be fun, hopefully. I think this season's going to get messier. The trailer, the cut, the scene, the, like, next time, our next episode, we got a confession from Say saying, I hold a grudge.
Me too, girl.
Girl, me too. So I'm excited. I think it'll be good. I think the players will warm up a little bit.
I'm also glad it's not just this kumbaya thing.
Right, the
first. Like,
Kumbaya Girls, if you're
I
watching season 17 of RuPaul's Drag Race.
yeah, I want drama at the end of the day.
At the end of the day.
But before we like jump off of here, I want to talk about the votes for Survivor season 50 and all of that.
Right. Well, if you didn't hear through the, I don't know, the pop culture Twitterverse, I don't know, pop culture news, reality TV news, Jeff last week, I think it was on, it was at, I think at a live show that they were doing, or the live premiere, or not the live premiere, I think they did like a premiere showing event. He said that they were planning on letting the audience vote for a couple of the big parts of Survivor 50, which we all know is going to be a returnee season. It's going to be an all-star season. So it's not like Second Chance. They're not letting us vote for the cast, but they're letting us vote for aspects of the season. And it looks like every week for probably the next couple, I think it's 4 maybe. The next 4 weeks they are, I don't know. I think so. I think there's more things that they're putting on the ballot.
Yeah, I know there's multiple weeks. I don't know how long it'll last.
For some reason I feel like I've heard 4 some. Maybe it was just because there was 4 things. That maybe that's why I'm thinking of the number 4. But after the next couple episodes, they're going to release a new ballot where you can vote on things, and it's open for the week before the next episode. And
I like this.
I do too. I'm excited. I am worried though. I have the feeling that production said IDGAF, and they're just gonna say, "Oh my God, the fans voted for fire making. Y'all love fire making," and then that sort of solidifies it in history, because they're just gonna be like, "Oh, y'all voted."
I know. I do wish that there was a way that like we could
see
watch
like a
the
live
votes come
in.
Yeah. Well,
as it happens, I know. I went to the website. I went to the website and voted, and I was like, "This doesn't look trustworthy." I was like, I don't know who designed this website. Graphic design is their passion. I was like, this is very interesting. Yeah, let's share what we voted.
I also want to say it feels like some of the votes, specifically the last one, were just like, "Oh, we're listening. This is us listening to you." When it's like, I actually hate. Okay, we'll talk about. Okay, do you want me to go over them and we can?
Yes.
Or do you want to?
You go over them.
Okay. The first one was voting on the buff colors for the beginning. And there were a couple different options. I don't know. I can also insert a screenshot because I did screenshot them.
Oh, sure.
But I voted for option B.
I voted for the first option. I liked the teal and the purple option.
Oh, that's option B.
I think that was the first option for me.
Oh.
Wait, show it to me? Yeah, show it to me. Oh, it may have been option.
It's
yeah,
like
I think.
A, B,
yeah,
C.
it was B for me.
Okay, I love that. I thought those were pretty colors. I like the teal.
Me too.
The teal with like the Fiji water background. I'm like, okay, slay. Also, I love the purple.
Right.
And also, someone on TikTok, they posted a video of like what the buffs could look like with the like accent colors, and I was like, oh, they should have done that. Like, get that person on this voting thing because they did a better job. Anyways, the second vote was for rice or no rice. Should they start out with a supply of rice, yes or no?
I think this one, from what I'm seeing, is one of the more controversial ones. I think this one's there's a split down the middle. I voted give them rice.
I also voted give them rice.
But a lot of people are saying, IDGAF, I don't care. Take the rice away. It's only 26 days.
Okay, I was talking about this with my dad on the phone, and my dad was like, make them earn the rice. Also, shout out, because I know they listen to the podcast. He was like, they should earn the rice. We shouldn't just give them to them. Like, that's part of the fun of watching the show. And he's like, I want to get back to the old days of that. And I was like, well, actually, now they don't give them the rice. And I was like, that's actually the opposite of what like you would think. But I explained that I feel like with it being so short now, and with the frequency of reward challenges and food coming at them, I don't feel like them not having rice makes as much of a difference.
Right. I don't think I don't think honestly, I don't think it'll be a huge, if they're staying with 26 days, I wonder if they'll give us a vote on whether or not it'll be 26 or 39 days. That is something that I'm interested in voting for. But
yeah,
I
also don't care about this for this question.
I don't think if it's going to stay 26 days, I don't think it matters whether they have rice or not.
No,
but I think it's been proven by survivors in the new era that last a long time that it isn't a huge factor come the end of the season. Like, people eat a lot. And it's been, people have made testimonies that they're like, people have said, I've gone, like, I could go days without eating rice. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So
yeah,
it's whatever.
It is whatever. The third question is keep or get rid of final four fire making.
Can you read I was trying to look it up. Can you read what they wrote? Because this is crazy.
Like the two
on
options?
the cards. On the
Okay,
cards, yeah, the options.
So, I'll actually read the whole thing because it starts even before that. Okay, let's get into some gameplay. The Final Four Fire-Making Showdown has delivered some of the most dramatic moments in Survivor history, but not every fan is on board. Where do you stand? Keep it. It gives players control of their destiny. Or lose it. Let them vote someone out just like the early seasons.
Get the fuck off of my TV now. Let players control their destiny? Yeah, like with a vote?
Tell that to Teeny from last season. And the wind.
And the wind!
Do you think that is letting them control their destiny?
Survivor, don't piss me off. Because, first of all, let's talk about how leading this question is. For people who, and the lack of the lack of literacy in the United States at the current moment is a whole different conversation. But let us talk about the fact that this is basically, for people who don't give a fuck, are leading them to vote for keeping fire making. This is the shit I'm talking about, number one.
Yeah.
I'm like, some of the most iconic moments from Survivor history. What does it say? The most
dramatic.
I'm gonna be for real. I'm also gonna have to disagree. I can name 5 more dramatic moments at the top of my head. Number 1, Boston Rob, the final immunity challenge, where he's carrying his family on his back. Number 2, obviously, when Sandra, oh my god, number 2, when, Todd's sister comes and she has a miscarriage. That's so dramatic and has nothing, that's not even close to the finale. Number 3, where, when
Chatia throws the rice in the fire.
Chatia throws the rice, so dramatic. Number 4, when, oh my god, at the final 5, when Natalie Anderson turns around and looks at Jacqueline and says, "Did you vote for who I told you to vote for?" Oh my god, so dramatic. And number 5,
when Sue reveals her real age.
That's what I'm saying! That is what I'm saying. And none of that has to do with fire making at all. Okay, Divas?
Exactly.
And that just quickly from the top of my head, things I was able to name.
Those were only 5. Yeah.
And that was only 5.
Also,
I could do 5
for
more.
Coming with receipts, by the way.
Let me do 5 more.
Oh. Do it. No.
No. Well, I'll save it till next week. You know what? This is what I'll do. Every week I'll name 5 things that are more dramatic than off the dome.
Right. So you voted for keep it?
Yeah, obviously.
No, I also voted for lose it because get that off my screen. I hate it.
I want to lose it more that it pissed me off more the way that they worded the question. I was like, out of spite, I was like, I need this gone.
Exactly. And the last question. This one also makes me mad. I'm like, this shouldn't even be a vote. They said, vote for if we should do the live reunion in LA or keep it immediately after in Fiji.
Baby,
You vote for keep it in Fiji. I need you to seek help.
Clinical, babe.
Yeah.
Survivor is at a height that it hasn't been at in a decade.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, it hasn't been this. It's so big right now. Bring back a live finale. Bring back audience engagement.
Because my question, why not have both?
Honestly, in 2 decades, I can't believe the show's been on for longer than 20 years.
I know.
You could do both, or you could just do a live reunion. That's fine too.
I mean, as long as there's a live reunion, I don't care. But like, I don't mind having a thing immediately after in Fiji, but I also absolutely want, almost more than anything, a live reunion a year, like after. Let them reflect. We've gone on the we have gone on this argument before. Let them reflect. Let them watch the season.
Mm-hmm.
Let the fans be involved. It's so much more exciting watching the one. Well, I mean, like, maybe I think there could be some tweaking with like the one in Fiji,
Right.
and then I think they should still find out at the live reunion in LA. But I think there can be some sort of like something after.
Right. Like, let's talk about. I think there's a let's talk about your thoughts right here, right now type thing, and
Yeah.
then let's go on to the live reunion.
Yeah.
Read those votes.
Yeah. What I want to know if there are any other things that you hope to vote on. And one thing I'll just say that I don't know if it'll necessarily be a vote because it doesn't like directly impact the game, but I want to see Ponderosa videos come back. Reactivate the YouTube. They would do
also.
numbers on TikTok.
I'm telling y'all. I mean, they've already low-key started it. Like, last season, they had, like, people going around with the phone and recording themselves. I'm like, just bring back the Ponderosa videos. I would love to vote on tribe size and, like, tribe split.
On numbers? Oh, wait. I guess they're already planning on doing 3. Never mind.
Oh, are they? Oh, yeah,
Well,
with the colors of the tribe. Yeah, I guess. But I would have loved the option to do, like, 2 tribes of 9 or 3 tribes of 8 or 3 tribes of 6.
I mean, I guess they could still do it because the third one could be, like, a merge buff.
Right. And it feels weird. Like, I feel like Survivor 50, you have to have a cast of 20. I feel like a cast of 18, like, get me a cast of 20.
Yeah.
I would love to, I think voting on the length of days, that's something I don't know if we as an audience would get to pick though, because that seems much bigger than the actual planning.
Yeah.
But I would like to vote if there's mergatory or not. I don't want mergatory. Maybe, I don't know. It's also weird because
Jeff be the host. Okay.
It's weird because the people on Survivor 50 are watching this happen live, right? Like, I mean, the people who are going to be, obviously, like, nothing I don't think has been finalized yet, but, I don't think the Survivor 50 people have flown out. Like, I don't think they're recording yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's interesting they're watching this voting happen.
Yeah.
So, who knows what we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching and following along with us on this premiere episode of Survivor 48. I feel like there's a lot of room for more excitement in future episodes.
I know.
Like, we're setting the groundwork.
It's going to be slow burn this season.
Maybe. Hopefully not. Hopefully this was just like one episode and then it's going to really take off.
Yeah.
But I'm glad Survivor's back. I still had fun watching it. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited for people to get more comfortable and to see those alliances form and watch people actually play the game. I think it's hard in the beginning where, especially with the other tribes that haven't even gone to a tribal council yet, watching them try and play this game that they're actually like kind of playing, you know, like it's very, you know, weird times. Anyways, be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Making Fire Pod. Really get on that TikTok. It is so fun. And
once we get enough viewers, we'll go live on TikTok, everybody.
we will go live on TikTok. We promise. It will be so fun.
So go follow the TikTok. We're on the road to 20.
And hey, every TikTok is doing not bad.
For a small family-owned podcast, it's doing what it needs to do.
It is doing what it needs to do. Anyways, be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a little comment. Leave us who your winner pick is. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.